The last horizon cut through the darkness of space, its sleek hull gleaming under the light of distant stars. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's main viewport, her dark eyes fixed on the approaching alien world of Vexthor. After decades of isolation, the Meridian species had finally agreed to diplomatic talks with the United Earth Alliance. "Status report," Chen called out, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility pressing down on her shoulders. Lieutenant James Rodriguez, her tactical officer, responded without looking up from his console. "All systems nominal, Captain. The Meridian escort vessels are maintaining their positions at our flanks." Chen nodded, studying the alien ships through the viewport. Their crystalline structures seemed to pulse with internal energy, beautiful but somehow unsettling. The Meridians were known for their advanced technology and xenophobic tendencies. This diplomatic mission represented years of careful negotiation. Ambassador Michael Wong approached, his formal diplomatic uniform crisp and immaculate. "Everything's prepared in the conference room, Captain. Our cultural experts have reviewed the protocols dozens of times. We can't afford any misunderstandings." "Agreed," Chen replied. The Alliance Council made it clear. Establishing peaceful relations with the Meridians could change everything. Their technological knowledge alone could advance human development by centuries. The bridge fell silent as the last horizon entered high orbit around Vexthor. The planet's purple atmosphere swirled with strange patterns, while massive floating cities could be seen scattered across its surface. "Receiving transmission from Meridian Control," Rodriguez announced. "They're requesting we power down our shields for atmospheric entry." Chen frowned. Standard protocol allowed diplomatic vessels to maintain defensive systems. Before she could respond, the ship's AI interface chimed in. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the escort vessels," Araya reported, her holographic form flickering with concern. "The patterns don't match their previous emissions." Wong stepped forward. "Captain, if we refuse their request now, it could derail everything we've worked for. The Meridians are extremely sensitive about trust demonstrations." Chen's instincts screamed danger, but the mission parameters were clear. Maintain diplomatic relations at all costs. Lower shields, but keep weapons systems on standby. Discreetly, the massive ship began its descent through Vexthor's atmosphere, the hull creaking slightly under the strain. Chen watched as the floating cities grew larger, their crystalline spires reaching toward the sky like frozen lightning. Multiple new contacts. Rodriguez suddenly shouted. Energy signatures from all directions. Before Chen could react, the first shots struck the last horizon's unprotected hull. The bridge shuddered violently as alarms blared throughout the ship. "Direct hits on engines and weapons systems," Araya reported. "They knew exactly where to target us." Chen grabbed her command console as another explosion rocked the ship. "Return fire. Get our shields back up." "Weapons aren't responding," Rodriguez called out. "They've completely disabled our offensive capabilities." Through the viewport, Chen watched in horror as more Meridian warships emerged from concealment behind the floating cities. This hadn't been a diplomatic invitation. It was an ambush. "All hands, abandon ship," Chen ordered, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Get to the escape pods. Ambassador Wong, get your people out." The bridge crew scrambled to evacuate as secondary explosions tore through the last horizon's hull. Chen stayed at her post, trying desperately to give her crew time to escape. "Captain, you have to go," Araya insisted. "I'm detecting Meridian boarding parties. They're not here to take prisoners." Chen's fingers flew across her console, initiating the ship's final protocol. "Araya, begin data purge. Everything we know about Earth's defenses, colony locations, fleet movements. Wipe it all." "Already done, Captain," the AI responded. "But you need to leave now." Chen finally abandoned her post, running through the smoke-filled corridors toward the nearest escape pod. The sound of plasma weapons fire echoed behind her as Meridian soldiers breached the hull. She reached the pod and strapped herself in, hands shaking as she initiated the launch sequence. Through the small viewport, she watched her ship, her home for the past 5 years, break apart under the continued assault. As the escape pod rocketed away from the dying vessel, Chen's mind raced. Why had the Meridians done this? What could they possibly gain from such a betrayal? A sudden explosion of light filled the pod's viewport. Chen's heart sank as she realized what it meant. The Last Horizon's reactor had gone critical. The massive explosion consumed everything nearby, including most of the other escape pods. Tears streamed down Chen's face as she activated the pod's emergency beacon. She had to survive, had to make it back to Earth, had to warn them. The Meridians hadn't wanted peace. This was just the beginning. As her pod drifted through space, Chen made a silent vow. Humanity had come seeking friendship, extending an open hand in peace. The Meridians had responded with treachery and death. They would soon learn that humanity's other hand held a sword, and it was about to fall. Admiral Marcus Drake stood before the United Earth Alliance Security Council, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display showing the Last Horizon's final moments. The chamber was silent as the recording ended, the destruction of humanity's diplomatic mission replaying in the minds of everyone present. 3 days ago, we recovered Captain Chen's escape pod, Drake announced, his deep voice carrying across the chamber. She was the only survivor. Analysis of the pod's data banks confirms this was no misunderstanding. The Meridians planned this attack from the beginning. Counselor Elena Santos leaned forward, her expression grim. Do we know why? Everything we knew about the Meridians suggested they were isolationists, not aggressors. That's where things get interesting, Drake replied, gesturing to his intelligence chief, Dr. Maya Patel, who stepped forward with a data tablet. We've been analyzing encrypted transmissions intercepted before the attack. Patel began, her fingers dancing across the tablet's surface. New holograms appeared, showing complex patterns of communication traffic. The Meridians weren't acting alone. They were coordinating with someone else. The council chamber erupted in murmurs. Drake raised his hand for silence. Dr. Patel's team discovered something even more disturbing. Show them. Patel nodded, bringing up another hologram. This is a quantum signature analysis of the weapons used against the Last Horizon. The energy patterns match perfectly with technology from the Arcturus Confederation. Impossible, Counselor Zhang interrupted. The Arcturians are our strongest allies. They helped us develop our deep space program, which gave them intimate knowledge of our ship's weaknesses, Drake pointed out. The Meridian attacks targeted exactly the right systems to disable the Last Horizon. They knew precisely where to hit us. In the back of the chamber, Captain Chen sat silently, her hands clenched into fists. She had spent the past 3 days reliving the attack, wondering if she could have done something differently. Now, learning of this betrayal, her grief was turning to cold anger. There's more, Patel continued. We've detected unusual ship movements near several Arcturus outposts. They're mobilizing, but trying to hide it. And look at this. She highlighted several communication nodes on the hologram. Regular encrypted transmissions between Arcturus Prime and Vexthor, dating back months before the attack. Drake's voice hardened. The Arcturians and Meridians are working together, using diplomatic overtures to probe our defenses. The Last Horizon wasn't their first target. It was just the first one we know about. Several of our deep space research stations have gone dark in recent months. Chen spoke up for the first time, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. We assumed they were technical failures or navigation errors, but if the Arcturians were involved, they could have used our own tracking data to find them. Santos finished, horror dawning on her face. Drake nodded grimly. We believe this conspiracy goes even deeper, Dr. Patel. The intelligence chief brought up new data streams. We've detected similar communication patterns with other species, the Volok Hive, the Sharkari Empire, even some elements of the Galactic Council itself. Someone is organizing an anti-human coalition, using our technological advancement and rapid expansion as justification. They fear us, Chen realized. Our adaptability, our innovation, our potential. They saw what happened when we reversed-engineered Arcturian technology and improved upon it within decades. They're not waiting for us to become stronger. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had thought it was making allies, building bridges between civilizations. Instead, they had been marked for elimination. What are our options? Santos finally asked. Drake's expression was resolute. We can't fight them all. Not yet. But we can strike first where they least expect it. The Meridians and Arcturians think their betrayal has crippled us. They don't realize that humans are most dangerous when backed into a corner. He turned to the council, his voice carrying the weight of command. Give me authorization, and I'll show them why every species that tried to conquer Earth throughout history has failed. We'll make them regret teaching us how to reach the stars. Chen stood, her posture military straight despite her injuries. I volunteer to lead the first strike team. My crew deserves justice. Drake nodded approvingly. The enemy thinks they've seen humanity's weakness. It's time to show them our strength. As the council debated their response, secret orders were already being transmitted to Earth's hidden shipyards and research facilities. New weapons were prepared, tactics revised, and strike teams assembled. The Meridians had intended the destruction of the last horizon to be a message that humans were not welcome among the stars. Instead, they had unleashed something far more dangerous, humanity's full potential for warfare. And in the darkness between the stars, Earth's response was taking shape. The enemy would learn too late that peace-loving humans could become the deadliest warriors in the galaxy when pushed too far. The real war was about to begin. Deep within Earth's Olympus base, carved into the heart of Mars' tallest mountain, Captain Sarah Chen watched as humanity prepared for war. The massive underground facility hummed with activity as engineers and scientists worked on projects that would have seemed impossible just months ago. The Arcturians thought sharing their technology would keep us dependent on them, Dr. Maya Patil explained, leading Chen through a restricted section of the facility. Instead, we've completely redesigned their basic principles. Take a look at this. They stopped before a massive hangar where a new class of warship was taking shape. Unlike the sleek diplomatic vessels like the last horizon, this ship bristled with weapons and armor. Its hull was covered in overlapping plates of a material that seemed to drink in the light. Quantum phase armor, Patil said proudly, based on reversed-engineered Meridian technology. But we've improved it. Their energy weapons won't find their target so easy to disable this time. Chen nodded, studying the ship's design. What about our own weapons? The last horizon's conventional systems barely scratched their shields. That's where things get interesting. Patil led her to another section, where technicians were assembling what looked like massive railguns. We've combined Arcturian particle beam technology with human mass driver principles. The result is something entirely new, weapons that can bypass enemy shields by shifting phase at the point of impact. Admiral Drake joined them, accompanied by Commander John Torres, Earth's leading tactical expert. How are the fleet preparations progressing? Drake asked. The first wave of ships will be ready within the week, Torres reported. We're focusing on smaller, more maneuverable vessels rather than large capital ships. The enemy expects us to copy their tactics. We'll show them something different instead. The group moved to a holographic tactical display showing known enemy positions. Red markers indicated confirmed Meridian and Arcturian fleet locations, while yellow showed suspected ally positions. They're still gathering their forces, Torres explained. The Meridians are reinforcing their home system, while the Arcturians are spreading their fleet to protect key installations. They think they have time. They don't realize we've been preparing for something like this since we first reached space. Drake added, Operation Sleeping Giant is already in effect. Chen raised an eyebrow. I'm not familiar with that protocol. Because it was classified beyond top secret, Drake explained. Ever since first contact, we've been building hidden shipyards throughout the solar system. Automated factories buried in asteroids, manufacturing facilities inside hollow moons. Even our enemies' most detailed scans of our system missed them. Patel pulled up new schematics. We've also been quietly testing experimental technologies. Remember the mining accidents in the Kuiper Belt last year? Those were actually weapons tests. We now have devices capable of causing targeted solar flares, disrupting space-time at strategic points, even creating artificial gravity wells. The enemy thinks they've caught us unprepared, Torres said with a grim smile. They don't understand that humans have been imagining and preparing for space warfare for centuries through our fiction and games. We've thought of scenarios they never considered. Chen walked along the rows of ships under construction, remembering her crew's faces. How many other hidden facilities like this do we have? Enough, Drake replied simply. And each one is working on different aspects of our response. The Ganymede base is preparing our electronic warfare systems. Titan base is handling logistics and fleet coordination. Even civilian shipping has been quietly retrofitted for military support roles. They reached a smaller vessel that stood apart from the others. Its design was unlike anything Chen had seen before. Your new command, Drake announced. The Nemesis, first of her class. She's faster than anything the Meridians have, more heavily armed than Arcturian warships, and equipped with stealth systems beyond anything they can detect. Chen ran her hand along the ship's hull. When do we strike? Soon, Drake assured her. But first, we need to ensure our success. The enemy believes they know humanity's capabilities. They've studied our official military, our documented technology. They think they can predict our responses. But they've never seen humans fight an all-out war for survival, Torres added. They don't understand that we're at our most innovative when facing extinction. Every defeat makes us stronger. Every setback teaches us new ways to fight. In other parts of the solar system, similar preparations were underway. Civilian scientists worked alongside military engineers, developing new technologies and tactics. Special forces trained in zero-gravity combat techniques never before seen in the galaxy. AI systems processed combat scenarios faster than any organic mind could comprehend. Earth's response would not be the brute force attack the enemy expected. It would be something uniquely human, adaptive, unpredictable, and utterly relentless. As Chen studied the tactical displays and fleet movements, she felt a fierce pride. The enemy had sought to break humanity's spirit. Instead, they had united Earth like never before. Every nation, every faction, every human being was now focused on a single goal: survival. The Meridians and their allies had made a crucial mistake. They had judged humanity by its peaceful diplomatic missions, its careful adherence to galactic protocols. They never understood that this restraint was a choice, not a limitation. Now they would learn what humanity was truly capable of when that restraint was removed. In the depths of Olympus Base, humanity's sword was being forged. Soon, it would fall. The Nemesis cut through the darkness of space, leading a fleet of shadows. Captain Sarah Chen sat in her command chair, watching as her tactical display showed hundreds of human vessels moving into position. Each ship was running dark, their new stealth systems making them virtually invisible to enemy sensors. All ships report ready, Commander Torres announced from his tactical station. The Arcturians still haven't detected our approach. Chen nodded, her expression hard. Begin Phase 1. Let's show them how humanity fights back. Across the Arcturus system, automated probes suddenly activated. These seemingly harmless devices had been scattered throughout the system months ago, disguised as debris from destroyed research stations. Now they unleashed carefully calibrated pulses that disrupted the quantum communications network the enemy relied upon. Communications blackout confirmed, reported Lieutenant Sarah Wong, her fingers dancing across her console. Their fleet coordination is compromised. Individual ships are shifting to backup systems. Phase 2. Chen ordered. Manifest the gravity wells. New weapons of human design activated, creating localized distortions in spacetime. The carefully positioned gravity wells caught the Arcturian patrol ships by surprise, dragging them off their planned routes and splitting their formation. Enemy fleet is scattered, Torres reported with grim satisfaction. Their defensive lines are breaking. Chen leaned forward in her chair. Execute Phase 3. All ships, weapons free. The human fleet decloaked simultaneously, appearing like avenging angels among the stars. The Nemesis led the charge, its phase-shifted weapons tearing through enemy shields as if they didn't exist. Other human vessels deployed their own unique weapons, ships armed with solar pulse cannons that overloaded enemy power systems, electronic warfare platforms that turned the Arcturians' automated defenses against them. Multiple enemy vessels disabled, Torres called out. They're trying to regroup, but our gravity wells are keeping them isolated. On the main viewer, Chen watched as human innovation and preparation paid off. The enemy had expected a direct assault, a test of raw firepower. Instead, they faced an opponent who had turned space itself into a weapon. "Ma'am," Wang interrupted, "we're detecting power spikes from the Arcturian orbital platforms. They're charging their main weapon arrays." "Right on schedule," Chen smiled coldly. "Signal the Phantom Squad." From the debris field of a destroyed moon, a special unit of smaller ships emerged. These vessels, piloted by Earth's best stealth operators, had infiltrated the system days ago. Now they struck at the orbital platforms from point-blank range, using precise attacks to disable the massive weapons before they could fire. "Admiral Drake is reporting success in the Meridian sector," Torres announced. "Their fleet walked right into our trap at the Vega Corridor. The quantum disruption fields are preventing them from sending reinforcements." Chen stood from her chair, watching as another Arcturian cruiser succumbed to the human assault. "Signal all ships, begin Phase 4. Push toward their command center." It's time they understood exactly who they chose to fight. The human fleet moved with coordinated precision, their tactics unlike anything seen in galactic warfare. Smaller ships darted between the enemy's capital ships, their enhanced maneuverability making them impossible to target. Larger vessels used their new weapons to create corridors of disrupted space, trapping enemy ships in killing zones. "Enemy commander is requesting surrender terms," Wang reported, surprise evident in her voice. "No terms," Chen replied firmly. "Not until we reach their central command. They wanted to eliminate humanity. Let's show them how that feels." The battle continued, but it was no longer a fight. It was a demonstration of power. Every human weapon and tactic had been specifically designed to counter Arcturian technology. Every move had been planned, every response anticipated. Hours later, Chen stood on the bridge of her ship, watching as the Arcturian Central Command Station hung defenseless before the human fleet. Its weapons were disabled, its shields collapsed, its defenders scattered or destroyed. "Open a channel," she ordered. "Let them see who beat them." The main screen flickered to life, showing the Arcturian High Command. Their alien faces showed a mixture of fear and disbelief as they faced the human captain whose diplomatic mission they had so casually destroyed. "Impossible," the Arcturian leader whispered. "Your species. You were peaceful, diplomatic. How did you? You never understood us," Chen interrupted. "Peace was our choice, not our nature. You saw our extended hand of friendship and mistook it for weakness. That was your mistake." She gestured to the tactical display, showing the devastation of their fleet. "Humanity has been imagining and preparing for war among the stars since before we left our atmosphere. Every book, every game, every simulation helped us prepare for this moment. You thought you were facing simple diplomats. Instead, you awakened a species that had spent centuries thinking about how to fight in space." The Arcturian leader's multiple eyes blinked rapidly. "What are your terms?" "Unconditional surrender," Chen replied. "And then you'll help us deal with your Meridian allies. But first, you're going to understand exactly what you've brought upon yourselves." As the human fleet secured their victory, signals were already being sent to Earth. The first phase of humanity's response was complete. The Arcturians had been broken, their fleets scattered, their defenses proved useless against human ingenuity. But this was just the beginning. Other alien powers would soon learn that humanity's response to treachery was not just revenge. It was complete and absolute victory. The galaxy had wanted to know humanity's true nature. Now they would learn, one system at a time. The great hall of the Galactic Council fell silent as Captain Sarah Chen walked into the chamber, her boots echoing against the polished floor. Admiral Drake and Dr. Peddle followed close behind, their faces showing no emotion as they passed the representatives of 100 alien species. The evidence they had recovered from the Arcturian databases was damning. Displayed on the massive holographic screens surrounding the chamber, it showed years of conspiracy, secret meetings, and carefully planned attacks against human interests. Members of the Council, Chen began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast room. 3 months ago, humanity was the victim of an unprovoked attack. Today, we bring proof that this was no isolated incident, but part of a coordinated effort to eliminate our species from the galactic stage. The Meridian representative, his crystalline form dimming with anxiety, tried to interrupt. These accusations are supported by your own encrypted communications. Drake cut in, nodding to Dr. Patel. New data streams appeared on the screens, decoded transmissions showing the full scope of the conspiracy. The Arcturian High Command has already confirmed everything, Patel announced, her voice clinical and precise. Their surrender terms included full disclosure of all parties involved in the anti-human coalition. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs as names and dates scrolled past. Species that had publicly welcomed human diplomatic missions while secretly plotting their destruction. Trade partners who had shared technology while studying human weaknesses. Even council members who had advocated for human rights while voting to support covert operations against Earth's colonies. You fear us, Chen continued, her words cutting through the chaos. Our adaptability, our innovation, our potential. You saw how quickly we advanced after achieving spaceflight, how easily we improved upon technologies that took your species centuries to develop. So you decided to eliminate us before we grew too strong. She gestured to tactical displays showing the defeated Arcturian and Meridian fleets. Instead, you forced us to demonstrate exactly why we were worth fearing. In 3 months, we defeated 2 of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, not through superior numbers or technology, but through innovation, preparation, and the unique human talent for warfare. The council leader, a towering being of pure energy, moved forward. What are humanity's demands? Admiral Drake stepped forward. Justice. The conspirators will face trial for their actions. Their victims deserve nothing less. And after, a voice called from the assembly. Will Earth now take its revenge on the galaxy? Chen's expression softened slightly. No, humanity still desires peace. We still believe in diplomacy, cooperation, and the exchange of knowledge. But let our response to this conspiracy serve as a lesson. She turned, meeting the eyes of every council member. We are not simple primitives to be manipulated. We are not children to be controlled. We are humanity. We survived ice ages, plagues, and our own destructive tendencies. We reached the stars through sheer determination and ingenuity. And we will never allow anyone to threaten our existence again. Therefore, Drake continued, Earth proposes a new galactic charter, one that recognizes both our peaceful intentions and our absolute right to defend ourselves, one that ensures no species will ever again attempt what you tried to do to us. The council chambers remained silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had not just defeated its enemies, it had fundamentally changed the balance of power in the galaxy. In the months that followed, the galaxy underwent a transformation. The conspirators faced justice, their leaders stripped of power, and their military capabilities reduced. But true to their word, humans did not seek revenge. Instead, they began sharing their innovations, not just in warfare, but in medicine, environmental protection, and space exploration. Trade routes reopened. Diplomatic relations were cautiously restored. Species that had once feared human potential now sought to learn from it. The galaxy discovered that humanity's greatest strength was not its capacity for warfare, but its ability to transform enemies into allies. 1 year after the attack on the last horizon, Captain Chen stood on the observation deck of a new diplomatic vessel. Earth's flag flew proudly alongside the banners of former adversaries, now partners in maintaining galactic peace. Was it worth it? Dr. Patil asked, joining her at the viewport. All the death and destruction to reach this point. Chen watched as ships from a dozen species moved peacefully through space, their crews working together to build something new. We didn't choose this path, she replied. But we turned their mistake into an opportunity. They wanted to eliminate humanity from the galaxy. Instead, they forced us to show everyone who we really are. She smiled as a group of alien children toured the ship's bridge, their eyes wide with wonder as human officers explained the controls. We're not just survivors or warriors. We're teachers, explorers, and innovators. And now the galaxy understands that peace with humanity isn't just the moral choice, it's the smart one. As the ship moved through space, its mission once again one of diplomacy and cooperation, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger, wiser, and more respected than ever before. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humans would always extend a hand in peace first, but those who chose war would face a species that had spent its entire history preparing for the worst while hoping for the best. That was humanity's true legacy among the stars.